This is Hassan the Storyteller with the Black Lotus Coffee House with my friend Krinjik, and today I'm here to tell you the story of the Medha and the Djinn. Once there was, and once there wasn't, in the long distant days of yore, when haystacks winnowed sieves, when genies played Jareed in the old bathhouse, when camels were town criers, when fleas were barbers, when I gently rocked my sleeping grandmother to sleep, there was a magnificent city made of lapis and jade, minarets covered in silver towering to the skies, and all of the Sultan's wealth passed through this city. From the south, gold and silver and gems and amber. From the east, rare spices. From the west, trade goods of linen and silk. And from the north, tools and weapons. All flowed through this city. Until one day, it stopped. The Vizier of the city was not a kind man, nor a cruel man. He was not clever, nor was he foolish. He was not brave, nor was he cowardly. He was, in essence, the perfect imperial bureaucrat. And when the trade stopped coming through, he called 100 of his finest warriors. "I bet it's bandits on the south road," he said. "Now go, my warriors, ride and find them. I will pay 10 gold per head, and 1,000 gold for the leader of the bandits' heads." And so proudly, spears on their shoulders, they rode out, laughing, for it had been quite a while since they had their last good bandit hunt. Well, a few days pass, and they come riding back in the early morning. Spears and mail glimmering in the sun. There's something off, something odd about them. Where their heads used to be, just sat white scarves. And what was even odder, as these headless riders advanced on the city gates, the leader dismounted his horse and came carrying a head in his hands, and it spoke to the gate guard. "I must see the vizier at once, for it is no mere bandits we deal with." The gate guard, shaking and trembling, passed out right then and there from fear. And so the riders, all 100 of them, heads in their hands, rode through the city gates and up to the palace, where the leader dismounted and walked up to the vizier, set his head down on the table, and said, "O great lord, it is not bandits we deal with. It is a djinn, and this djinn has demanded that we send our finest treasures, or he will not allow the trade to come back from the south, and we shall wither and die." Well, as I said previously, the vizier was not a wise man, but he was no fool. He knew he could not outsmart the djinn, and he'd already seen what happened to 100 of his best warriors, so he could not fight the djinn. And so he thought, our best treasure to allow trade and food back into the city is probably a pretty good deal. And so he sent 100 carts laden with trade goods pulled by mighty oxen south into the deserts. And a week later, they came back. The tradesmen all had their heads, and the vizier thought this was a good sign. But the leader of the tradesmen walked in wordlessly, pulling a large, mighty chest the vizier had never seen before, and sets it with a mighty and terrible thunk onto the table. The vizier excitedly rushes over, expecting great gems for having made the djinn so happy, and throws open the lid, and there is sand. "My lord, I was sent with a humble message. The djinn request our greatest treasures. Trinkets like these," he says, "pave and litter their roads in the city of djinn. It is nothing for them. Our wealth means nothing. He wants our greatest treasures." Well, the vizier thought, "Oh, blast it, if these djinn do not want gold and gems and silver, what can I send them? Summon my wise... That's it! Summon my wise men. We will send our philosophers, our teachers, our priests, all down to the south. to teach the Djinn our great knowledge, for every great trade city has not just treasure for its wealth, but the great minds that come to teach others and to profit from the city's wealth. And so 100 of the greatest minds in the empire went south out of the city. And a week later, 100 of the greatest minds came back. More or less okay, although very much shaken, and the leader comes out and says, "Great Vizier, I am sorry, but the Djinn scoffed and laughed at our knowledge. What we know," he says, "they've known for centuries, for millennia. For the city of the Djinn can look into our world and see all. They know more than us. Their knowledge is greater. We are not the greatest treasure your city has." Well, the Vizier got very worried. "But that is not all. We have 1 month, one great lord, to deliver our greatest treasures, or he will destroy the city, lay it to ruin, only dust and rubble to remember us by." The Vizier sent everybody out, for he was not clever, nor was he foolish. He was not kind, but he was not cruel. He did not wish to see his city laid waste, although there's a solid chance that was probably because, well, he didn't want to lose his job nor his head if the Sultan found out he was responsible. And so he took to wandering the streets of his city, pondering what the greatest treasure they had was. A week passed, 2 weeks, and then on the 3rd week, 1 week before destruction was supposed to rain down on their city, he overheard 2 of his guardsmen in the streets talking. "I'm going to the coffee house after my shift. The old Medha's down there telling his stories. Greatest treasure this city has is that man, I swear." The Vizier lit up at those words and rushed forward. "Good guards, tell me where to find this man." And they gestured to the coffee house, and he said, "Bring them to me. Bring him to me tomorrow morning at sunrise. A week's pay if you bring me this man." So the Vizier went back to the palace, preparing a mighty trade caravan to head south. Well, bright and early, right as the first rays of the sun started shining, a feeble old man walked into the door, carrying a cane and a handkerchief. And as he slowly crept forward, back arched and withered with age, he looks up to the Vizier. "Lord, what can I do for you?" "My guards say you are the greatest treasure in this city, and that is what we need. Please go to the Djinn, and I will reward you with whatever you want when you come back. I have prepared a great caravan to escort you." And the old Medha, the storyteller, looks up, leaning heavily on his cane. "My lord, I am a humble old storyteller. I tell stories for the roof over my head and sleep on a mat in the back of the coffee house. But if it will save this great city that I love, of lapis and jade, then I shall go south. No caravan needed. I will take my old donkey." And so with that, laden with nothing but a cane and a handkerchief, the Medha went out. And a week passed, and nothing. No destruction, no rubble, no ruin, no loss to the sands of time, and trade caravans from the south started coming again. And that meant trade from the east and west and north started coming again. For once there was gold and jewels and silver to trade, everybody else was happy to trade with them. Another week passed after the caravans arrived, and another, and another, and soon the weeks turned into months, and 4 months later, the Vizier, walking through the streets of his great city, heard a familiar voice. "Once there was, and once there wasn't." And he rushed into the coffee house to see the old man sitting on a stool, cane in one hand, handkerchief in the other. telling his stories of great days gone by, histories, adventures, romances. And the Vizier sat there in that coffee shop all the night long, sipping on a warm beverage and snacking on dates, until the Vizier grew sleepy. And right as he was about to fall asleep, the storyteller approached him. "My lord, it is good to see you. What brings you to my coffee house?" "Where have you been, man? I promised you great rewards. We thought you were dead. You are the savior of this city." And the old man smiles to himself and shakes his head. "I did nothing but tell stories, my lord." "Well, what was the great treasure?" "Stories, my lord. The Djinn's wealth makes ours look feeble by comparison. His knowledge makes us look like newborns who have not yet experienced the world. But what he doesn't have is our stories, our history. And what we don't have is his." And so I went and I told him a great story of how our city was founded. "And that took you a month? 3 months? You surely have shorter stories." With this, the old man laughed, surprisingly loud and boisterous. "My lord, a story is a gift, and you cannot give a gift without having one given to you in return, for it would be rude of the receiver. No, I told my story, and he returned the gift with another. But his was so wonderful that I had to give another. And so, for 3 months, we exchanged stories and ate together. And for 3 months, we laughed and we cried the stories of the Djinn and the stories of man. Your greatest treasures will never be the lapis and jade and silver and amber that line our streets and our buildings, nor your warriors, nor your scholars. For as great as these are, they are simply a part of the story of the city of jade and lapis. Your greatest treasure is and always will be your bards." I apologize if I have told this story in error, for I have simply recited it as it was told to me by an old man with a cane and a handkerchief.